Last time on our journey, we took down Garuda, only to learn about the new Garlean Ultima weapon. And we watched in horror as it just casually ate the primals we have fought before. We were forced to retreat, but we are not beaten. It is time to return to the Waking Sands and start getting our friends back. As we arrive, we find Ida there. She tells us she arrived at the sands sometime after the bodies were removed, and she has spent her time since then removing the stains left by her friends. Thankfully, she was not completely alone as Yistola joined her as well. Yistola has gone to Ul'dah to gather some information about where our friends may have been brought, so we wait with Ida at the Waking Sands. As we rest there, we get a brief vision of Hydaelyn, who speaks to us, warning us that the darkness is closing in. As we wake up, we are joined by Yistola, who rejoices not just over us and Alphinaud being there, but also Cid. She tells us she has found out where our friends have been sent. They have been taken to Castrum Sentry. So it's time to mount a rescue operation. To begin with, we need to gather information. And who are more vigilant in watching the skies and the coming and going around Mordona, where the castrum is located, than of course the Isgardians, who live just right beside Mordona. So we head to the observatorium, where we talk to Portelaine to get some information. And he delivers. We get confirmation that Minfilia, Papilimo, Urianger and Tataru were all taken to the Castrum Sentry. But he can also tell us something else really interesting. An Imperial airship has just recently crashed in Coerthas, and 2 prisoners were seen escaping, a Lalafell and a Rogadin, which Cid immediately identifies as Biggs and Veg. We know we can't just go and storm the castrum right away, so instead we go to find our 2 airship mechanics. As we mount the first part of our rescue operation, we get a view of the Garleans progressing their plans. Gaius is speaking to his 3 closest subordinates as they observe the Ultima weapon. Nero's work has finally paid off, and the weapon is ready. And they believe this will be what is needed to break the Orsian population and force it under Garlean rule. For this reason, Gaius sends his subordinates to different locations to deal with different parts of his plan. Most notably, one of them being actually not Garlean born, but a Rogadin. But it seems that Gaius does not view being pure-blooded Garlean as being as important as most Garleans think. It is also notable that he tells Livia to meet him in his chambers. Back in Coerthas, now with a letter of introduction, we scour the area looking for the 2 mechanics. We do end up finding Wedge hiding under a bridge, and he is thrilled to be saved and to learn that Cid is alive. As we take him to safety, we have a chance to learn a bit about his and Biggs' relationship. While the 2 can be seen bickering frequently, Biggs is actually fiercely protective of his smaller friend. And for this reason, Biggs has lured the Garleans away from Wedge, allowing the Lalafell to escape and hide, but also putting himself in far more danger. The pair is fiercely loyal to one another and to Cid Garland, so hopefully we can see a happy reunion when we have found Biggs as well. We bring Wedge to a nearby tower for safety and start searching the area. We are advised to check out Danifan Pass, as Biggs may have headed towards Whitebrim. We end up finding Yistola and Ita near Danifan Pass, where Biggs is being surrounded by Garlean. We beat them down and bring Biggs back to the tower, where he is reunited with Wedge, and soon after, the pair gets to meet Cid again. From Biggs and Wedge, we learn a little bit more about the attack on the Waking Sands, and what happened in the following days for the prisoners. It seems the Garleans teleported to the Waking Sand by the use of a powerful magic. After being captured, they were taken to Castrum Sentry, where Biggs and Wedge were separated from the Scions, as the Scions were to be interrogated about the use of the Echo, while Biggs and Wedge really don't know anything about it. The 2 were held at the castrum for a few days and then boarded onto an airship to be shipped to Garlemald, where they would without a doubt be put into servitude. But instead of doing that, the pair managed to get loose aboard the ship, mess up the airship, and forcing it to make an emergency landing, which they used to run away. But now with Biggs and Wedge back, it is time to get the ironworks back in business and save the rest of our friends. To do this, we make our way to Revenant's Toll, a small settlement in Mordona, which is not too far from Castrum Sentry. Mordona is actually a rather interesting place. This is where the Battle of Silvertear Lake happened. This was a great battle which saw the mighty Midgard's armor take down the Garlean airship, his corpse and the ship in question remaining still visible in the lake. In Revenant's Toll we meet some helpful individuals, who are all very eager to bring the fight to the Garleans. First is Loveborn, who helps us find a place where we can actually have a workshop, and gives us information about the Castrum. Apparently the Castrum has been on extra high alert lately, meaning it is going to be tricky to get in, and if we're spotted, they might do something to our friends, so we will have to be sneaky. Luckily, Sid has a plan. We will simply walk through the door, dressed as Imperial soldiers. All we need is Imperial armor and a Magitek Reaper. So it is time to split up. Yestola and Ida will go keep watch over the Castrum, while we, Sid, Biggs and Wedge will prepare the covert operation. And Alphino is just kinda there. Poor guy. We are directed to speak to Glaumont, a man who dearly hates the Garleans, and is full of handy-dandy information. For example, where there is a drainage pipe that lets us hear some conversations within the Castrum. And as we go to listen in, we hear that the interrogation of Minfilia and the others isn't progressing well. While Gaius wants to understand the echo, the prisoners just aren't speaking. On a funny note, apparently Urianger is speaking, but he just baffles the Garleans as each time he opens his mouth they find him just spouting gibberish. And that is the most Urianger thing I have ever heard. We learn how to do a proper Imperial salute by observing the Imperial soldiers around the Castrum. Then we take some time to steal the soldiers' armor, and may I point out these are all individual quests that all happen in this area, and then I have to go back to Revenant Toll to turn in the quest to get the next one that then happens to be in the same area, and this honestly got really annoying. This is a very ARR quest design. After we have obtained the armor, you might wonder if we won't be spotted. I mean, we are clearly not Garlean, but Sark Malark, a friend of Glaumont, explains that we don't need to fear. After all, the Garlean forces in Eorzea consist largely of non-Garleans, as the Garleans have a rather efficient way of subjugating their colonized areas. They simply take people from whatever land they have taken over and use them to invade other places, both weakening the colonized area's chances of resistance and strengthening their own armies. So while a Viera would be extremely rare, it is not impossible for one to be part of the army. So they should not suspect any trickery, which is good because I can't wear the helmet. As long as we act the part, we should be okay. And it's time to do just that. We dress up in our armor and head out to lure a group of Imperials with Magitek Reaper into an ambush. It is kinda silly that the costume we get is only the hat and chest piece though. I ended up supplying shoes and pants for myself, as my white mage outfit felt kinda weird. I mean, they might not scoff at me being a Viera, but I think they're gonna be very confused if I show up without any pants. We ambush the Imperials and take them down along with their Magitek Reaper. The Reaper is a bit damaged, but fixable. So it is taken back to Revenant's Toll for repair. Wedge becomes the Reaper's driver, and we get to see the most magnificent way for him to mount it, as Biggs simply throws him up in the air and the Lalafell lands on top of it. On further inspection of our new Reaper, Biggs and Wedge find out that it has been improperly serviced, and his core is pretty much ruined. Now the type of core these Reapers have can't be obtained by us, so instead we elect to use a Mammoth's Heart to serve as the core instead. Mammoth Hearts are made by the Goldsmithing Guild, and they have the ability to both fuel mammoths and also provide them with sentience. These things are also insanely expensive. Luckily, as we make it to the Goldsmithing Guild, we learn Alphino has sent a word ahead. He and his family have been great patrons of the guild, and he told them his servant was coming to pick up the item, so we don't have to pay. That was kinda smart. I did try to talk to him about, why he called me his servant, but all he does is tell me lore about the castrum, which is interesting, but not what I wanted to speak with him about. After putting the heart into the Reaper, we take it out for a spin and try to welcome it to the team. At first, it doesn't really want to respond to us, but after we are attacked by a group of Imperial soldiers trying to take the Reaper back, the Reaper finally starts warming up to us. We name her Maggie and brand her with the Ironworks logo, and now it's time to infiltrate the castrum and save our friends. As we're getting ready to leave, Glaumont comes to see us off, and we're given an idea what it's like to live under Imperial rule. Glaumont is an Alamican, and he tells us how he, his mother and sister were all forced into servitude when he was younger. He was put into manual labor, and the two of them were put into something far worse. So much worse that when the three tried to escape and failed, the two women elected to end their lives by jumping off a cliff instead of being taken back. And it's moments like this and stories like that that remind me that no matter how cutesy this game is, its lore is actually surprisingly dark. We head towards the castrum to find our friends, and this is the time to tell you what Alphino told me about the castrum. Apparently, it used to be called Castrum Novum. The original castrum was heavily damaged during the calamity, and when it was rebuilt, it was given the new name. Currently, the stronghold is a manufacturing and storage powerhouse, and is the primary supplier of materials for other castrums and soldiers in Eorzea, making it well defended and an important location. We wear our disguises and sneak in with Biggs and Veg. As we do so, we learn that Minfilia is to be taken to the Castrum Meridanum. We make our way inside, where we find Urianger, Papalimo, Tataru and Minfilia all being held captive. We break them free, and Urianger joins us as a summoner and Papalimo as a black mage, in helping us fight our way out of the castrum. We do get to see when Stola and Ida meet up with Livia. They try to confront her, but as she has too much backup, they are forced to actually run away and end up joining us on our escape. The last to join us is Veg, who is forced to leave Maggie behind as we make a daring jump escape from a cliff onto the Enterprise to fly to safety. But as we fly away, we are shot at by no other than the Ultima weapon. Minfilia tells us the Ultima weapon was made by the ancient Elegant Empire and found by the Garleans in Alamigo. This weapon was made to kill primals, and now is under control of Gaius, and beside him, La Habrea. We watch in horror as La Habrea unmasks himself, revealing himself to be no other than Thancred, our trusted friend and ally. But we are unable to confront him as the weapon shoots again and we are forced to retreat. With the Ultima weapon ready, we can see the Eorzean Alliance meet in Ul'dah. Like 5 years ago when the Garleans invaded, Isgard remains closed off, but the leaders of Ul'dah, Gridania and Limsolaminsa unite together. Each city-state have gotten a letter of demands from Gaius van Belzer, and now the leaders are gathered in Ul'dah to decide if Eorzea shall once again take up arms to fight the invasion, or lay them down and surrender. But we will take that on in the next video. I hope you're enjoying these lore recaps of the story. This video is approximately 2.5 to 3 hours of gameplay condensed down, and I hope this is a handy way to get a nice refresher. If you do enjoy the video, make sure to leave me a commentation by liking and subscribing. But all I want to say in the end is takk fyrir að horfa og eigðu yndislegan dag.